Just before the storm of war broke out in Ukraine, China made a bold declaration. A no-limits friendship with Russia was announced, marking what seemed to be a future of close collaboration on trade, energy, and security. However, more than 2 years into the conflict, cracks are beginning to show in Russia-China ties. So, is China reconsidering its stance on Russia? Has the no-limits friendship reached its limit? In this episode of HT in Depth, we explain why Beijing might be having second thoughts about its no-limits friendship with Moscow, and how this could shake up global power dynamics.
"中俄合作无上限，我们争取和平无上限，维护安全无上限，反对霸权无上限。"
When China announced its no-limits friendship with Russia in early 2022, it seemed to cement a powerful alliance. Trade deals were expected to grow, energy flows would strengthen, and some even speculated that security cooperation was on the table. But as the war in Ukraine drags on, this partnership seems to have evolved, and not in a way that Moscow would have hoped. In fact, a public debate has erupted in China, and it's no longer just whispers. Even academics, once silenced, are now openly questioning the wisdom of standing too close to Russia. For instance, in early 2022, a letter by 6 prominent Chinese historians opposing Russia's invasion was swiftly censored. But fast forward to 2024, and some of the same voices are being heard again. A prominent scholar on Chinese security strategy, Shindingli, said, and I quote, "China doesn't want to be seen as collaborating with Russia against Ukraine." The Chinese government, it seems, is walking a tightrope, trying to balance relations with both Russia and the West, without getting sucked too deep into ties with Moscow. This shift became even more noticeable in May 2023. China and Russia issued a joint statement, but one crucial phrase was missing: the no-limits friendship. It was quietly left out. Even during Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to China, there was a noticeable lack of warmth in President Xi Jinping's response. Putin declared their relationship as close as brothers, but Xi's response was more measured, calling Putin merely a good friend and a good neighbor. So, why this shift in tone? There are several factors. First, Russia's capabilities are being tested day by day. With the Wagner Group mutiny last year and Ukraine's recent incursions into Russian territory, it's clear Moscow's grip on what it considers its backyard is slipping. This seems to have set off alarm bells in Beijing, where experts are openly questioning whether Russia can really be relied upon. Feng Yujun, a leading scholar at Fudan University, even predicted Russia's defeat in Ukraine. According to Feng, China should distance itself from Russia and return to a more neutral stance. He believes aligning too closely with Moscow might bring more harm than good. Another major concern is the economic relationship. While trade between China and Russia hit a record $240 billion in 2023, it's clear that this partnership overwhelmingly benefits China. Russia accounts for only 4% of China's trade, while China represents nearly 22% of Russia's. Despite this, Chinese financial institutions are pulling back, likely worried about the implications of getting too involved with Russia as Western sanctions intensify. China's economic experts are warning against overdependence on Russia, calling instead for broader cooperation with neighboring countries. There's a growing sense that Russia, with its vast natural resources, may try to extract greater concessions from China. But perhaps the biggest point of contention is their differing global visions. While Russia seeks to tear down the current global order, China has different ambitions. According to Zhao Long from the Shanghai Institute of International Relations, Russia wants to rebuild the system from the ground up, while China wants to transform it from within, to take a bigger seat at the table, without burning it all down. And then there's the issue of mutual mistrust. Russia has never promised military support to China in the event of a conflict over Taiwan, just as China has steered clear of directly involving itself in Ukraine. Shireen Hong of Renmin University highlights this as an unbridgeable gap in their relationship. So where does this leave China and Russia? Beijing finds itself in a tricky spot. While ties with Moscow serve as a counterbalance to the US, leaning too heavily on Russia could leave China isolated, especially if Russia loses the war in Ukraine. Feng Yujun puts it bluntly, every time China has aligned itself with Russia in the past, it has backfired. He warns that China risks being led by the nose, even though it holds the upper hand economically. And with rising voices in Beijing cautioning against overdependence on Russia, it's clear that China is rethinking the no-limits commitment. As the Ukraine war drags on and Russia's future remains uncertain, China finds itself walking a very thin line. Can it maintain its relationship with Russia without burning bridges with the West? Or will Beijing have to make some tough choices in the near future? One thing's for sure, the no-limits friendship isn't what it once seemed.
What the changes in India's population and the differential growth rates.
This city has emerged.
We have a very special guest on the record.
The interview.
The role that the US side played at that point of time.
पूरी दुनिया की नजर
Assume my phone is tapped. I can probably say hello to Mr. Modi.
आपके भारत पर है.
Episode of Know Your Candidate.
The rising confidence of India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Communist China is the greatest threat.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremist.
I'm still a little perplexed by why we.
Your daily dose of news from India and across the world. Cutting edge views and analysis. Tune into HT videos. Click on the bell icon to subscribe.
What the changes in India's population and the differential growth rates.
This city has emerged.
We have a very special guest on the record.
The interview.
The role that the US side played at that point of time.
पूरी दुनिया की नजर
Assume my phone is tapped. I can probably say hello to Mr. Modi.
आपके भारत पर है.
Episode of Know Your Candidate.
The rising confidence of India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Communist China is the greatest threat.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremist.
I'm still a little perplexed by why we.
Your daily dose of news from India and across the world. Cutting edge views and analysis. Tune into HT videos. Click on the bell icon to subscribe.